WWE was north of the border tonight. They were in Quebec City. So when you're in Canada, you can pretty much bank that you're going to get a really good crowd. There's a great crowd. Great crowd in Quebec City. And we got some really good wrestling on the show, mainly from IYO SKY and Roxanne Perez. That was a very good match that those two ladies had tonight. And that is where the compliments end for this show. We had a tag team main event tonight. It was CM Punk and LA Knight taking on Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And I don't want to sit here and tell you that I expected that there would be a clean finish in this main event. I mean, it would be nice, right? It's always nice to get a clean finish. But I can't really sit here and tell you that I was expecting one. I feel like I would have tolerated what we got tonight in that main event at the finish a little bit better had we not gotten disqualification after disqualification after disqualification after disqualification every single week on this show. Sheamus comes out, he talks about banger after banger. We could talk about DQ after DQ after DQ. I want to take you back to the gauntlet match that CM Punk won to earn the right to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Remember that gauntlet match they did? CM Punk won that gauntlet. You would have to go all the way back to that gauntlet to find a main event match on this show that actually ended clean, with a clean, decisive winner. On July 21st, technically, even though it didn't close the show, but the main event of the show, main event match on the show, was Stephanie Vicaire and IYO SKY. And that match ended in a disqualification. So then you fast forward to July 28th, we had Jey Uso against Bronson Reed, which ended in a disqualification. You fast forward to August 4th, last week's show. You had Seth Rollins one-on-one against LA Knight for the World Heavyweight Championship in a match that ended in a disqualification. And then we arrived tonight, north of the border. CM Punk, it doesn't matter what country we're in. That doesn't seem to make a difference. We had CM Punk and LA Knight against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And wouldn't you know, how did this match end? It ended in a disqualification. And we had Seth Rollins interfering in the match, which honestly, as a match, it was fine. It was a good main event until we hit the finish. And then I realized, boy, I feel like I have suffered from deja vu. This feeling washed over me as I watched Seth Rollins interfere in this match. And I said, boy, you know, it almost feels like I've seen this before. It's almost like I'm watching a rerun. And so Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, they lay a beat down on the baby faces, and then Jey Uso comes out. And he comes out with a chair to fight off the heels, and then Adam Pearce comes out. And Adam Pearce makes the announcement of the World Heavyweight Championship match that we are going to get at the end of the month at Clash in Paris. Now, I was hoping that we would get a championship match and not some kind of a six-man tag, because that would have been fucking lame, right? And nobody wants to see that. CM Punk and LA Knight both have valid reasons to want to get a rematch with Seth Rollins. CM Punk was champion for 5 minutes at SummerSlam, and he got screwed out of the World Heavyweight title. LA Knight on last week's show got screwed out of the World Heavyweight title when CM Punk interfered in his business. So it would only make sense that they would stake their claim, and maybe we would get a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. But we can't have a triple threat match because we have to insert one more person. And you would think, boy, they're going to put Roman Reigns in that match. I really don't want to see that, because I'd rather not have Roman and Seth in the ring together unless they're going to go one-on-one. Well, it's not Roman Reigns. You don't got to worry about that. He may have a different match on that show. No, they put Jey Uso in that to make it a four-way match in Paris. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, legitimately, and I know he's a former world champion and all that. That was months ago. Legitimately, the only reason that Jey Uso is in that match in Paris is for his entrance. That's it. That's it. They want the crowd to yeet, and people have fun when they yeet. And remember the reaction he got in Lyon, France, the last time when they had Backlash last year. That's it. That's the only reason that Jey Uso was in that main event at Clash in Paris. Because he really has no business being in that match. But everybody, is going to go yeet, and so he's got himself a world championship match, and now we have a fatal four-way on that show. So that is official. And as far as what Roman Reigns is going to be doing, look, the thing with Roman Reigns is that he's being advertised, locally anyway, in Philadelphia for Raw next week. And he's being advertised for the show the following week. On the 25th, they're going to be in the UK. They're going to be in Birmingham. So unless he's there for a dark match, he's going to be back on Raw next week. And the thing that would make the most sense, and we actually had a video package tonight specifically focused on Bronson Reed and talking about Roman Reigns and targeting Roman Reigns, so it all fits together. He's been stealing the man's shoes. Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed feels like the match for Clash in Paris. Now, if they wanted to hold off and push that match off for Perth, because Roman's gone all of September. That's when he's filming Street Fighter. He's not leaving yet. So it's entirely possible. I mean, October, again, it's still 2 months away, but if he's gone for the entire month of September, then yes, it's possible. We could get that first Roman Reigns-Bronson Reed match for Perth. It's too far away. If he's back on TV next week, that's the match. So Roman will likely be occupied with him. I don't know what Bron Breakker does, but they'll figure something out for him. But I'm watching this main event tonight, and just the laziness of what they do, where I sit here and I feel like I'm watching a rerun every single week. The show is so creatively bankrupt right now. I mean, they shaved half an hour off the show. It's not 3 hours anymore. And then you have a week like this where, again, it feels like a slog to sit through the show. And that's the way I felt about SmackDown on Friday. And I'm sitting here and I'm trying to debate, wait, which was worse? I'm not sitting here trying to debate which was the better of the two shows. It's like, no, which one was worse than the other? And so I have to go SmackDown just because we got better wrestling on Raw tonight. I mean, I can't honestly compare the two shows and say that there was anything on SmackDown that I remember being as good as the match that IYO SKY and Roxanne Perez had tonight. So that's at least 1 point in favor of Raw. But man, so far coming out of SummerSlam, these shows, they do not inspire a lot of excitement when it comes to Clash in Paris, for example. It's not like they didn't try to tell certain stories tonight. For example, with IYO SKY and Asuka and Kairi Sane, right? I mean, you could see where that's going. There's a rift forming there. I don't know if the Kabuki Warriors are officially going heel or not, but that's a direction they're taking. And that's fine. I mean, they've teased that now for several weeks. But I'm looking at, most of the rest of the show and whatever the stories are that are, kind of in progress right now. And then shit like we got at the end of the show. I'm just like, this feels creatively bankrupt right now. Where's the excitement? Where's the stories that are going to grab you and make you want to tune in the following week? Man, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. There really is no wondering. I know exactly what's going to happen next week. It's going to basically be a variation of what we saw this week. But man, when I saw that main event finish and I realized that it was 4 fucking weeks in a row of that, I mean, there's just no excuse. There's no excuse. And it's all on Triple H. No excuse. Now, we were supposed to have a Women's World Heavyweight Championship match tonight, and it got pulled a few hours before the show because supposedly medical did not clear Naomi. That's what they said publicly. I don't know what's going on. They did mention on the show very briefly that Naomi was not medically cleared, and she was not on the show tonight. She was not in a backstage segment. She didn't do a run-in. There was no other mention of her during the show. So I don't know what the issue is or the injury is. And so we'll leave it at that. Hopefully, whatever it is, it's nothing serious. It's nothing that would necessitate her having to vacate the championship. I don't know if she got hurt, when that even would have happened. I don't know. So we have very little information so far in the way of what's going on with Naomi, but that is why IYO SKY was wrestling Roxanne Perez and not wrestling Naomi for the championship tonight. But that match that IYO and Roxanne had, that was honestly, for me anyway, the highlight of the show. And credit to Roxanne, she was great in the match, but the crowd was super into IYO, again, which is great to see, even though she's out of the world title picture right now. I mean, she was supposed to get a world championship match, but she's not really in the world title scene at the moment. Hopefully that momentum will carry over. But yeah, when this show was over, I was just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? This is not great TV. It's not. And the main event finishes over and over again. Something has to be done, okay? Change it up. I'm begging you, please, for the love of God. Just change it up. This is your Raw Netflix review. It's Monday night, August 11th, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. We have a bonus goal going on in the chat, but on the likes end, you know the drill. 400 likes. It's the minimum that we're shooting for. I do want to say thank you because we're very close. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 88,000. What was it in Back to the Future? 88 miles an hour takes you to the future. Take us to the future. Let's get to 88,000. That's the next goal. So thank you for getting me very close. I don't know when we're going to hit it. It might be a little bit, but we'll get there soon enough. So thank you for that. Somebody in the chat said, do you think Naomi may be pregnant? I don't know. Nobody knows. It is interesting that you mentioned that, though, because she had done an interview, and this was many, many months ago. It was definitely earlier this year. And I don't know, maybe she was on some pod, like the Bella's podcast, whatever it was. But she was talking very openly about wanting to start. Hey, Bobby's World. Thank you. But she was talking about wanting to start a family and wanting to have kids and realizing that she's at an age now where if she's going to do it, she's going to have to do it soon. So that is something to wonder. I don't just mean if that's the reason that she was pulled from the show, but even in the near term, it's something that I think is easy to forget sometimes on the women's side, which is that you do get to a certain age where you're going to want to settle down and start a family if that is a goal of yours. And the guys don't have to worry about that because, hey, could be fucking 40 years old, 45 years old. They could be wrestling into their 50s. It doesn't matter. But for the women who want to have kids and start a family, yeah, I mean, it is a consideration. And Naomi is on record as saying that is something she would like to do. So I don't know that has anything to do with this, but I guess we'll find out soon enough, won't we? We don't know what we don't know. But the show opened tonight. with Michael Cole and Corey Graves. They were at ringside. They announced that Naomi was not medically cleared, and so the Women's World Championship match that they advertised for tonight was in fact not going to happen. It was canceled. At which point, CM Punk made his way out to the ring, and Punk got a great reception. He said that the fans made it hard for him to be angry, but then he thinks about how there should be gold around his waist right now, and he gets angry all over again. He says, I have a Seth Rollins problem. Don't we all? A few more finishes like that tonight, we're all going to have a Seth Rollins problem. He added that Rollins is trying his best to be CM Punk, but failing miserably. Punk recalled becoming champion for the first time in WWE in over a dozen years. Punk said that if fans thought he was relentless in his pursuit of his goals and he was obsessed with becoming champion, then he is even more obsessed with becoming champion and regaining the title. So he knew to hate the game and not the player. Punk said that he doesn't hate the game because he's cashed in before, but he still hates the player, that is Seth Rollins. Punk said Rollins would not have to pretend to be injured because he would get his hands on him and he would break his leg. So then LA Knight's music interrupted. He headed down to the ring. Knight held his hand out for a handshake, which Punk accepted. And Knight said that Punk was robbed at SummerSlam and he deserves his rematch, but Knight recalled Punk attacking Rollins during the match last week, which cost him, potentially, the World Heavyweight Championship and got him disqualified. Knight said that he understood, but it was the wrong place, wrong time. So he said that he and Punk don't have a problem, right? You and I are cool. He'd like to keep it that way. He asked Punk to go after Rollins. Go ahead, do it. But do it after the bell. And Knight said that Punk will get his rematch after he gets his. Punk asked Knight if he thought that he was going to become champion after Rollins stomped your head in like a coconut on the concrete last week. I saved you, basically, is what CM Punk was saying to him. He said, you're welcome. And he told him to get to the back of the line. Knight said that when he thinks about what Punk did, as far as saying thank you, he said thank is not the word that he would place in front of the word you. And he recalled Punk saying that there are levels to this. He said Punk is not on his level. Knight said he would do Punk a favor by forgetting last week, clean slate. It's like it never happened, so long as Punk doesn't let it happen again. So the second favor was that after he beats Rollins and wins the World Heavyweight Championship, Punk can be his first successful title defense. So then Paul Heyman comes out, right? We hear, ladies and gentlemen. And he walks out onto stage with Bron Breakker and with Bronson Reed, who had both pairs of Roman Reigns' shoes draped over his neck. Heyman mocked the French fans by saying a few words in French and then saying that he would do whatever it took to get out of their province as quickly as possible so that he could avoid their guttural language. Heyman told Knight that he should avoid getting into the favor business with CM Punk, said that doing so will take years off your life and will cost you your tribal chief. Knight, he had a great line in here where he called Bronson Reed a walking footlocker. That amused me. Punk cut Heyman off. He said someone was going to get punched in the face tonight. He told Breakker and Reed to come on down. So Heyman said he did teach Punk well. He said that they can make it Punk and Knight against Breakker and Reed right here tonight. And LA Knight said, look, we're not looking for Breakker and Reed. He didn't seem very interested in that, but then Punk cut him off and said, we accept. And Knight was not very happy about that. He said Punk doesn't speak for him, but then he accepted the challenge anyway. Heyman was ready to head backstage. Breakker, though, was not, and Bron Breakker begins to walk down the aisle because he's angry. And Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman, they have to stop him and they have to restrain him, and this was the best part of the entire segment. Bron Breakker is standing there in the aisleway, and he's looking into the ring. He's looking at CM Punk, and he yells towards Punk, you're 47. What are you going to do? And then he looks over at LA Knight, and he says, you're 40. Goes, you guys are 100 years old combined. The Steiner math is not mathing here. That's number one. But those last 15 seconds were the best part of the entire segment. It was a pretty paint-by-numbers segment otherwise. But then Bron Breakker just made it all worthwhile there with that little rant there at the end. He's great. When it comes to the trash talking, it's definitely something I've noticed that he has done more of in the last several weeks. And I don't know if that's just something that was suggested to him by Paul Heyman, because I know Heyman works very closely with him behind the scenes, but I definitely hope he keeps doing it, because like when he's got somebody down in a rest hold or a submission hold in the ring, it's a tag match, he looks up at the partner. He did it with Roman at SummerSlam. I think that's great. It's one of the things I love about his whole act. But he's not wrong. I mean, when you combine their ages, they're actually 88 years old. It's not quite 100. But combined, they are 88 years old. Only about 5 years younger than Ric Flair. So the whole point of this was to build tension between Punk and Knight and set the main event for the show. Can they coexist? I know. It's not like we haven't seen this before. Backstage in the Judgment Day clubhouse, Finn Balor spoke with Raquel, Roxanne, JD McDonough. Dominic Mysterio showed up with El Grande Americano, and the others were not very happy to see him. Why is he here? Who invited him in here? Balor pulled Dom aside and said, look, I'm pretty good at reading the room, and the others don't want him here. And Dom said that it was part of his strategy for Triple Mania this Saturday. Balor said, it would be great if Americano could help you bring the AAA Mega Championship back to the Judgment Day. So Dom and Americano, they headed out. Balor suggested to Raquel and Roxanne that they go speak with Adam Pearce about getting themselves a rematch for the women's tag team titles. That led to AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano. 75% of the Triple Mania main event right here in this match. The only one missing was Vikingo. They're having a four-way for the mega title on Saturday. So Dom entered wearing a lucha mask that he took off as he headed to the ring. They did announce that Corey Graves and JBL, not Conan. Conan is being inducted on Saturday into the AAA Hall of Fame by Rey Mysterio. So the announced team for Triple Mania will be Corey Graves and JBL. They'll be doing the English commentary. And look, I know that JBL has made a few appearances for AAA earlier this year. Last year, he snuck into Triple Mania. He was a surprise appearance on the show. I get all that. But the idea that JBL is going to be providing the commentary for Triple Mania is just very funny to me. So Dragon Lee wiped out Americano with a dive before the match even started, and that gave the babyfaces the edge until they went to the commercial break. Dragon Lee made a hot tag after the break, but the heels got the advantage again. This led to a second break, 9 minutes into the match. Americano ripped at Lee's mask during the second break, and he exposed a decent amount of his face. The match slowed down until it was time to come back from the break, as is usually the formula. Dragon Lee hit Americano with a double foot stomp. Dominic yanked Styles off the apron to prevent a tag, but Styles chased him around ringside and tackled him and a cameraman over the barricade. Oops. Styles made a hot tag, hit Americano with a fireman's carry neckbreaker. Dom broke up the cover. So Dragon Lee monkey flipped Dominic right into a Styles clash, which was actually a very cool spot. Americano, though, shoved Lee off the top rope, so AJ gave him a reverse DDT. Outside the ring, Americano, he tried slipping the little steel plate into his mask, but he was climbing up to the apron before he got the plate in. And so before he can get it in, AJ caught him with an enziguri, and he drops the metal plate on the floor. But sitting on the floor outside was Dom. Dom puts his lucha mask back on, and then he slips the metal plate under his mask. Now, AJ is in the ring. The match is still in progress here. Styles rolls up Americano, who kicks out. And when he kicks out, that sends Styles into the ropes. Dom is on the apron, and he gives AJ a headbutt. And so AJ is completely out of it. He stumbles backwards, and Americano rolls him up for the 3 count. So this was a solid match. It was a long match, too. It lasted over 15 minutes. And honestly, it was probably better than solid, but The reason I say that it's a solid match and not a great match is that it was a little hard to tell with 6 minutes or 7 minutes of fucking ads in the middle of it. So it was only solid. No real surprise here. No real surprise here to see AJ take the losing fall. Think about it. Like 75% of this match is in the Triple Mania main event on Saturday. Why would you beat any of these guys? Why would you do that? AJ loses. They had to cheat to beat him, so it's not like it hurts AJ Styles. All it does is make him angrier and throw fuel on the fire when he eventually gets his rematch for the IC title against Dom. So the finish made all the sense in the world to me. But again, everything else I saw here was perfectly solid. So earlier today, Sami Zayn was talking to Adam Pearce in the back, and he asked him if he had decided on a world championship match yet for Clash in Paris. I got bad news for you, Sami. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. You're not factored into the equation here. He desperately wanted the match. He says, I know I can be the world champion. He's like the little engine that could. It's getting to the point now where if he constantly says it on TV, he looks desperate. I know I can be the champion. Just give me the chance. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Like, shut up, dude. You're fucking annoying. So anyway, Pearce said that he couldn't make any promises, but he told Sami to focus on Rusev tonight, and then they could talk about it. So Sheamus walked in, and Pearce said, look, I don't want you going after Rusev again. I'm not going to have a repeat of what happened on the show last week. We're not going to have all the mass chaos and all the mass carnage that we had on Raw last Monday. And Sheamus goes, oh yeah, who's going to stop me? So Sami butts in. He goes, look, I know that you want to get your hands on Rusev, but this match tonight is very important to me, so I'm asking you as a friend, please stay out of it. And then Sheamus agreed, and he said after the match is over, he's going to go after that Bulgarian bastard. Just FYI. Backstage. Oh, boy.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, boy.
Fuck that tree.
Fuck that tree. That's right. You tell him, Jeremy. Fuck that tree. Backstage, IYO SKY lamented to Adam Pearce about not getting her women's world title match tonight now that Naomi is not medically... Yeah, she wasn't on the show tonight. Her sister, rather. Thank God she wasn't on the show tonight. Alex, thank you. So IYO lamented to Adam Pearce about not getting her women's world championship match here tonight as promised. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, they showed up to mock her, and IYO said that she came to Quebec to fight. So Adam Pearce made the match after IYO challenged Roxanne. It was going to be one-on-one. That was coming up a little bit later on. Sami Zayn, one-on-one against Rusev. This was in Sami's home province, so you can imagine the reaction that he got. He was on SmackDown on Friday. Where were they? They were in Montreal. And he got a great reaction there. So you got another one tonight. Zayn hit an Arabian press to the floor. Crowd popped. Rusev, though, cut him off with a Uranagi. Zayn made a comeback after a break and hit a tornado DDT. Sami went for a haluva kick, but Rusev cut him off with a machka kick for a 2 count. Sami avoided the accolade. He got a schoolboy. That didn't work. Rusev avoided the exploder, and he hit Sami with the 10 beats. I guess just to piss off Sheamus, the 10 beats of the Bulgarian, I guess. Rusev stalled for too long, though, so Sami hit an exploder in the corner, and then the camera zoomed in super tight on Sami as he was setting up for the haluva kick. And when that happens, it's because they don't want you to see what's going on outside. Something is about to happen. And sure enough, and boy, this certainly lit my world on fire tonight. This got me excited. You know what? I should change my whole opinion of this show and flip it from a thumbs down to a thumbs up, because guess who showed up here? As I feared. I talked about this in the SmackDown review on Friday night. Guess who showed up? For the disqualification, the favorite finish for Paul Levesque. It was the MFTs. Solo Sikoa and his MFTs. They showed up on Raw tonight. And they dragged Sami out of the ring. This, of course, was payback for Sami pinning Solo. If you missed it, even though Sami Zayn's on Raw, it doesn't matter anymore, of course. There is no brand split anymore. So LA Knight now, I guess, is officially on Monday Night Raw. Great. That's where he should be. Sami Zayn, he was on SmackDown because they were in Montreal. Fine. Who gives a shit? But it's a little weird because he is technically a Raw star, and he pinned the United States champion. Now, when you pin a champion on TV, you best be getting a title shot, because otherwise that's pretty fucking stupid. So this was payback for him pinning Solo Sikoa on Friday night. They put the boots to him outside on the floor. Officials run down to chase them away. So off go the MFTs. Stop provoking these things into existence. Look, it's just common sense. I figure we're going to see them on Monday night because they had already announced that Sami was wrestling Rusev. I said, these fucking guys are going to show up on Raw Monday night, and then there they were. So anyway, the crowd was not happy about this. But then they were. When Sheamus appeared out of the crowd, he caught Rusev with a knee strike. Sheamus then tossed a security geek over the announce desk before brawling with Rusev through the crowd and out of the arena. Michael Cole made a comment in all this. He said that Sami Zayn might have gotten himself closer to a title match had he won. Yes, a United States Championship match, not a World Heavyweight Championship match. Now is not the time to be doing Sami Zayn going after the World Heavyweight Championship. If you're going to do it, you save that for the end of the year, going into the Royal Rumble and maybe heading into WrestleMania. And there are even some people that don't want to hear that. That is one of the stories, though, that I think we will likely... So there's a couple of different options. Well, there's more than a couple, but you can talk about Punk. You can talk about Roman. I think the Sami story would be a nice story to tell. If they tell it properly, I think it's a story that could work. But it's not a story to be told now. The United States Championship is what he should be challenging for, because he pinned the champion. Now, I know everybody fucking pinned Solo Sikoa, so it doesn't matter. I may have a pinfall win over Solo Sikoa. I don't remember. But that's where Sami Zayn appears to be heading. Now, after the match, and I think it came during the commercial break, so if you weren't watching during the break or you didn't have your VPN or whatever, you may not have seen it. But after the match, there was an amusing shot of Michael Cole and Corey Graves. They had the camera on the announcers at ringside, and they're talking, and in the background, right behind them, right in front of the barricade, right behind them on the floor, is the security guard that was thrown over the desk by Sheamus, and he is laying there, and he's in pain. And Michael Cole is just talking and moving on to the next segment, and Corey Graves has to stop him and say, hello, we got this guy over here. Because Cole didn't even notice him. He looks down, he goes, oh. He goes, yeah, I don't care about that guy because he hit me in the elbow. So basically, fuck that guy. That was Michael Cole's attitude. He didn't give a shit about this guy. Adam Pearce and security are backstage now. Solo beat Sikoa in Japan, brother. Man, I've been all over the place. Maybe it was in Japan. I don't know. I'll have to check my record and see if I have a win over Solo Sikoa. Maybe we got Boots in the chat. I'm pretty sure Boots has a win over Solo Sikoa. So Adam Pearce is in the back now, and he and security are leading Solo's crew out of the building. That's the last we saw, thank God, of the MFTs. Now, Pearce is also on the phone, seemingly yelling at the SmackDown general manager, Nick Aldis, about his men showing up on his show, as if this doesn't happen every week. His men showing up on his show. He gets interrupted by another referee who runs over to inform him that we have finally separated Rusev and Sheamus. And Pearce says, are you sure? Because he did such a great job last week. Go back and confirm it. Just make sure that you have, in fact, separated them. And I guess they did, because we didn't see or hear from Sheamus or Rusev for the rest of the night. Last week, they kept cutting in, right? They were brawling all over the building. That didn't happen this week. So the referee ran off. Then Pearce was interrupted by Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Grayson Waller. And Woods was very upset because Penta last week ruined his $12,000 hat, his black mourning hat. So Pearce said that Woods could take it up with Penta in a match on next week's show. This is now where they aired the Bronson Reed promo video that I mentioned earlier. He said that he became a big star because he attacked Seth Rollins. Reed said that he earned Rollins' respect and he was invited into the Vision. Reed said that he doesn't want Roman Reigns' respect. He said he punked out Reigns twice, and the only reason that it hasn't happened a third time is because Roman hasn't stepped up. Reed said that it will keep happening until Roman acknowledges his tribal thief. So there you go. I mean, Roman, whenever he comes back, and if he is likely in Paris, that's the match. It's not a tag match. Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed, trying to get his shoes back. The sneakers are on the... I can imagine what he must have paid for those sneakers. They may as well attach one of those Tony Khan stipulations to the match. You know, $400,000 match. I don't know. I mean, some of those shoes, who knows? It could be $100,000 worth of sneakers right there. But that's clearly the direction that they're headed in. And I'm okay with that. And maybe it's a case where Roman beats Reed one-on-one, and then they build to Roman and Bron Breakker one-on-one. You know, maybe that could be the match in Perth. So IYO SKY was shown walking backstage when she encountered the Kabuki Warriors. And Kairi Sane said that they were sorry about IYO losing her title match tonight. Asuka said that they could be in IYO's corner. And IYO said, I've beaten Roxanne before. I could handle her again. Thanks, but no thanks. And off to the ring she went for her match, one-on-one with Roxanne Perez. IYO was in control. She wiped out Perez and Raquel outside with a suicide dive. Although Raquel took the brunt of the impact, Perez just popped right back up and attacked IYO from behind to get the heat. Maybe, I don't know, maybe IYO was only supposed to hit Raquel, but she definitely, took both women out. I don't know. It was just weird seeing Roxanne just pop up like nothing there. IYO made her come back after the commercial break. Roxanne brought IYO down off the top rope at one point with a Hurricane Rana. Perez caught IYO with a knee drop for a 2 count. The referee was distracted by Raquel. So Perez raked IYO's eyes and then hit a Shining Wizard, covered her, but only got 2. And again, the crowd was super behind IYO here. So like every near fall, IYO would kick out, place would go nuts. IYO would pop up, she would do the pose that she does, and everybody loses their minds. She's fucking great. That's why I say, like, her and Gunther. If I had to pick 2 favorites right now, male and female in WWE, and frankly, it doesn't even matter. I mean, male or female, the 2 best wrestlers in WWE right now, as far as I'm concerned, Gunther and IYO SKY. Those are my 2. So it's great that she is still as over as she is, no matter where they go. Hopefully that long may it continue. But Roxanne, I don't want to take anything away from her because she was doing really well in this match too. So again, the referee was distracted by Raquel. We had the eye rake there by Roxanne. Perez put IYO in a crossface, but IYO eventually slipped out and hit a backbreaker for a 2 count. IYO then hit a springboard moonsault outside to take out both women right in front of the announce desk. And then back in the ring, this was the only hiccup of the entire match. IYO went for her Genius of the Sky moonsault, and Roxanne got her knees up. But it didn't really matter, because what happened was IYO was, and this is rare for IYO, but IYO was off. She did not land in the position that she had intended to, and so she did not connect with Roxanne's knees at all. Her knees, her boots, nothing. Instead, IYO, when she came down, she drove her knees right down into Roxanne's chest. And at first glance, I thought she landed right on her face. And Roxanne grabbed her face. I'm like, oh no. But it was more like the chest, I think, where she landed. I mean, it didn't look like a fun landing. But she was supposed to land on the knees. She didn't, but then she sold it anyway. She sold it like she hurt her own knees. Because she wasn't supposed to go for the pin. So what are you going to do, right? She's selling that she's hurt. So both women were down. As Raquel distracted the referee for a second time, here comes Asuka and here comes Kairi Sane. And they go after Roxanne and they're holding her on the apron. And in comes IYO. Roxanne, though, ducks out of the way and IYO stops short. She puts the brakes on before she collides with her friends. But then Perez shoves IYO into Asuka and Kairi, knocking them off the apron. Roxanne rolls IYO up while holding the tights, and she gets the win. And Io was very upset after the match as she gazed down upon her friends on the floor at ringside. This was a very good match. The best match on the entire show. And there were several good matches on this show. Honestly, the wrestling, the in-ring wrestling is what carried this show. And it was nothing out of this world. But as far as the wrestling goes, this was the highlight of the night right here. Even with the botched moonsault spot. Again, the crowd was super into it. Roxanne's, it's funny, on commentary, they're talking about how, she's the prodigy and she's Booker T's star pupil from Reality of Wrestling and far advanced for her years, even though she hasn't been doing this very long and she's still relatively young, she works like a veteran. And there's a lot of truth to that. When I'm watching her in the ring, it kind of feels that way, so she's very good. And Io obviously is one of the best in the world. So I don't know what kind of match Io and Naomi would have had one-on-one. It might have been very good. It might have been only good. I think we probably ended up getting the better in-ring match of the two, honestly. So it's a shame we didn't get the Naomi match, but they more than made up for it. I know the World Championship wasn't on the line, but no one was expecting IYO SKY to win the belt back. I mean, let's be honest. You're fucking lying if you thought that IYO SKY was winning that championship back tonight. So really, what did we really lose in that regard? Now, in the back later on, this is where the storytelling aspect comes into play here. In the back later on, there's a very upset IYO SKY who confronts Asuka. Kairi Sane is kind of in between them, trying to play peacemaker here. Io blames Asuka for the loss, right? She told them, thanks but no thanks, right? She didn't need their help. She didn't ask for them to come out there. So she gives her a shove. Or Asuka does, rather. She gives Io a shove. And Io is shocked. And so is Kairi. And Asuka just walks off. And Kairi she looks at Io. She looks in Asuka's direction. She doesn't know what to do. And then ultimately she walks off with Asuka. Then again later, in another segment, Io is just completely depressed. She's walking through the backstage area. She runs into Stephanie Vicaire. And Stephanie is getting these roles where she's in the back for like 10 seconds. Again, we need more Stephanie Vicaire on these shows. But all she did on this show was she ran into Io. And she said to her, "You're not the only one who is owed a world championship match." And she walked off. Goodbye, Stephanie. Io kept walking. Rhea Ripley shows up. Big pop from all the fans in the arena. And Rhea tried reasoning with Io and asks her if she really feels like she could trust Asuka and Kairi. And Io says she knows what she's doing and she doesn't like it. She didn't like the implication. And she told her, stay out of it. So are we going to get Asuka and Kairi going heel? Probably. The real issue seems to be between Asuka and Io, and less so Kairi. Because in all of these segments that they've done teasing some sort of jealousy or dissension, because Asuka's always the one, right, making the comment like, oh, your friend. Where's your friend, Rhea Ripley, right? And then tonight, it was like, hey, we'll come out there with you. That was Asuka's suggestion. And Io said no, she declined. And then we had the miscommunication. And then, so things are breaking down very quickly here. It could be a case where Asuka goes heel, Kairi's kind of caught in the middle. Or they'll just both turn heel and they'll fucking attack Io one of these weeks. But it felt to me even a couple of weeks ago, like the direction here, especially for Rhea. What's Rhea gonna, I've been asking that question. What do you do with Rhea Ripley until we get to Perth in October? Because she'll be challenging for the championship at some point in Perth in October. No doubt in my mind. What do you do with her in the meantime? She's one of the most popular stars they have. You got to get her on the show. Well, this is it. She's right in the middle of all this drama with Asuka and Kairi and Io, and it's building to a tag team match. So we're going to get Rhea Ripley and IYO SKY against the Kabuki Warriors. The only question is when and where. Do they do that in Paris? Right? That'd be a great match to do in Paris. I just don't know because, again, Triple H likes to keep those shows very tight. You're not going to have that many matches on the show, and a lot of them are going to be contested for a championship. Is there going to be room to do a match like that? There should be. There absolutely should be. Rhea Ripley and IYO SKY are two of the biggest stars in the entire roster. You don't need a championship involved to get them on a show like that. That should be the PLE match. And so for Rhea, that's how you kind of bridge the gap and kill time between now and then. And then eventually we can get IYO SKY one-on-one with Asuka. That's the match I'd like to see. That's the match I'm waiting for. I mean, you could throw Kyrie in and make it a triple threat. I don't need it to be a triple threat. Just give me IYO and Asuka one-on-one. So Jackie Redmond in the back interviewed Jey Uso. He said it hurt him to miss Raw last week, and it hurt him to see what happened to Roman Reigns. Said he missed Raw because he had family business to take care of. Jey put Rollins and the Bron Brons on notice. LA Knight interrupted. He noted that people thought Jey was conspicuous by his absence last week. People thought that, but not LA Knight. And Knight told him that the line for the World Championship and to get their hands on Seth Rollins starts behind him. And so Jey offered to put Knight at the back of the line. So this was their way of interjecting Jey Uso into something that honestly he didn't really need to be a part of. But this is what set the whole thing up here. We have Becky Lynch against Maxxine Dupri for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And I was wondering, too, because they were in Canada tonight. And Natty is the one who threw the challenge out last week. And then Becky was like, no, I won't wrestle you. I'll wrestle her. I'll wrestle Maxxine. And I'm watching this and I'm like, man, why wouldn't you want to do Becky and Natty in Canada? But Maxxine Dupri obviously is the stepping stone, right? She's round one. So this was round one. Lynch mocked Maxxine, told her to get out of her ring. And Dupri looked like she was going to. She looked like she was about to leave the ring. Instead, she gave Becky an arm drag. Lynch took over anyway and hit multiple suplexes. Maxxine countered, though, a manhandle slam into a stunner. She applied an ankle lock, but Becky rolled out of it. That led to Maxxine doing a very oddly timed cartwheel here in the middle of this match, just showing off. And then she booted Becky into the corner. Maxxine hit a flying crossbody for 2. Then she hit a spin kick. It didn't look great, but she tried. Then they traded cradles. Becky tried stealing a win by grabbing the bottom rope. Referee caught her, though. Lynch applied a disarm her moments later, and Maxxine very quickly tapped out. So Becky retains. And when the match was over, Natty got into the ring to check on Maxxine, and then Becky booted her. So, as expected, Becky Lynch against Natalya. That's likely going to be the next match. Again, Maxxine was the warm-up, is what she was. She was the appetizer to the main course here, which was Becky Lynch against Natty, right? That's really the match that they're building to here. Actually, the match they're really building to is Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, which will probably be in Paris. But before we get there, I'm sure we'll get Becky against Natty on Raw. Look, Maxxine, we don't get to see Maxxine very often. We don't get to see Maxxine very often, period, let alone in the ring. Clearly, she's improved from where she was, I don't know, a year ago. I've lost all concept of time here because this woman never, ever gets in-ring time on this show. She'll get a cameo in the Women's Royal Rumble. She may be in a Battle Royal every now and then. She is not factored into anything meaningful on this show. So I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I think she was in the Battle Royal at Evolution. I could be wrong. But beyond that, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Maxxine Dupri in a match. Like, supposedly, her and Natty were getting put together as this new tag team, and they came up with a name, the Dungeon Dolls. We haven't seen them. When was the last time we saw the Dungeon Dolls on Raw? Never. I don't think in the history of the fucking show. So we don't get to see her very often. I don't really have anything to compare it to. And the problem for her is she's improved a little bit, I guess, but you're only going to improve so much if you're not being given ring time. Like, they even made the effort on SmackDown, at least, to try to get B-Fab in matches. They don't even do that with Maxxine. And they don't run house shows anymore, right? It's very rare that they're going to be on a European tour in a couple of weeks and they got a bunch of live events, but that's rare. They really don't do house shows hardly at all anymore. And Mark Shapiro of TKO has said they're going to scale down even more next year. So at some point, there will be no house shows anymore. I don't know how someone like Maxxine Dupri, unless they send her back to NXT for a short run down there, is supposed to get reps and actually improve. I'm sure she's training and she's probably in the ring with Natty, and that's great. But you can't replicate being in the ring in an actual match in front of a live crowd by doing stuff like that. So I don't know how she's supposed to improve beyond the level that she's at now if she's not actually allowed to wrestle matches. I don't really understand how that's supposed to work. But as far as her role in this match, she did fine. Now, Seth Rollins met with his crew backstage, and he was in very good spirits because he thought that he would have to deal with CM Punk and LA Knight tonight, but instead they had to deal with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed instead. And like, I'm listening to him say this, and I'm just thinking, like, you share a fucking locker room with these men. It's not that hard for them to track you down and jump your ass right there in the backstage area. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They can pretty much kick your ass anytime they want. Rollins said that, I guess my job is done here. So he left to head for the personal jet to get out of Quebec City. There was an extended video feature here on Bayley. It was actually very well done. Who was talking like she's at a crossroads in her career. She looked like she was about to cry multiple times here, and you could hear it in her voice. She said that she's been doing this for a long time, 13 years. She wanted more, but she felt less. She felt nothing. She was called a role model long before she ever started calling herself one. She wanted to be that person that people looked up to. But now, here she was, all by herself. Everything that led up to now has gotten her nowhere. She couldn't remember the last time she felt proud of herself. And it was her own fault. And the camera, it went out of focus a little bit here, and she was acting like she had a headache or something. And then the shot went black. And then all you heard in the background was that heel cackle. Remember when she used to do those ding-dong hello segments? That's what it's from. That heel run. So they played that little sound effect there at the end. They're clearly teasing a heel turn, but they made it a little too obvious. You know, when they played that sound there at the end of the segment, I would have left that part out. I thought that was a mistake to have that in there. It really wasn't necessary. I thought the rest of the video was well done, and that has me, curious as to where they go next. Do we get more videos like this? Is there just going to be a new Bayley the next time we see her in the ring, or are they going to slowly build to it? So I thought the rest of the segment was very good, but it didn't need that last part there. So they come back live to Jackie Redmond. She's in the back with Lyra Valkyria. Asked her about the video, and Lyra hoped that Bayley was okay. She was kind of caught off guard, a little rattled by the video. She had no idea what was going on with Bayley and said that she would not have known because Bayley shut her out. And Lyra was struggling with how to react to this, and she refused to accept any sort of responsibility or that any of this was her fault. She said Bayley was the reason that she couldn't challenge for the Intercontinental title anymore. So she said, this is not my fault, and Bayley is on her own. She's like the female Snitsky now. It's not her fault. The main event was CM Punk and LA Knight against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. The babyfaces were in control until the Brons used a distraction to take over during the commercial break. Knight came back. Breakker, though, knocked him over the announce desk with his leaping clothesline off the apron. That led to a second commercial break less than 10 minutes into this match. We had 2 breaks. Knight began crawling for the hot tag as Breakker was stalking outside the ring to go after Punk. Punk saw it coming, so Breakker backed off, but that meant that Knight couldn't make the tag when he tried to. The Brons gave Knight the old Steiner Brothers top rope bulldog. Punk, though, broke up the pin attempt. Punk finally made the hot tag, and he hit Breakker with a leg lariat and a vertical suplex. Reed was about to go after Punk, but Knight intercepted him with a baseball slide. Punk hit Breakker with a flying elbow drop and then called for the go to sleep, but of course, he didn't go to the jet. Here comes Seth Rollins. And he runs into the ring. He attacks Punk for the disqualification for the 4th straight week on this show. The final match of the night ends in a DQ. And these fans were not happy, and I don't blame them. So, because it's really just rinse repeat with this show. That's what it feels like. It is rinse repeat every single week with this show. So the heels attacked until Jey Uso entered to his music. He attacked Breakker with a steel chair in the aisle. Rollins bailed before Reed swatted the chair away from Jey. Jey fought him off anyway and knocked him out of the ring, and then Jey stood tall in the ring with CM Punk and LA Knight when Adam Pearce walked out. And Pearce walked out on stage and he told Rollins, "You are going to have to defend your World Heavyweight Championship in Paris. You're going to have to defend it not just against one person. You're going to defend it against multiple individuals. You're going to defend your World Heavyweight Championship," he said, "against Jey Uso. You're going to defend your World Heavyweight Championship against LA Knight. And you are going to defend your World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk. And it is going to be a fatal 4-way match." And Seth Rollins obviously was not very happy about this development. So Punk was so happy that he celebrated by shaking the ropes like the Ultimate Warrior. Knight was less enthused. He argued with Punk. Knight shoved Punk. Punk then tackled him. Jey Uso was watching all of this. Jey tried to pull Knight off of Punk, so Knight gave him a back elbow. Punk set up Knight for a go-to-sleep, but he got speared by Bron Breakker. And Rollins and his crew, they beat up all the dumb baby faces. Breakker ran around the ring. He speared LA Knight out on the floor. Reed gave Jey a Death Valley driver and then a tsunami splash. And then Rollins stomped Knight as he re-entered the ring, and then he stomped Jey. And then Breakker and Reed, they're holding CM Punk down on his knees. And Rollins is looking down at Punk, and he's talking shit to him, and then Rollins stomps Punk. And the Vision, they celebrate as Raw goes off the air. The main event, I thought, was going along fine until the stupid finish, the very stupid, predictable finish. And as I said earlier, it's not even that I would have necessarily, under normal circumstances, expected a clean finish in a match like this, because they probably don't want to beat Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed right now if they're, getting Reed ready for Roman Reigns. And it would have been easier to accept and swallow if they just weren't so goddamn lazy every week with these finishes. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is such a lazy cop-out to do that every single week. And they know their audience is just going to, lap it up because, oh, whatever, right? We got our moments. We get to see all the big stars, and so who gives a shit? Not everybody feels that way, but enough people feel that way that they just feel like, well, we can do whatever we want. We can be as lazy and put in, the just very basic minimum amount of effort here, of thought into what we want to do on these shows. And that's why you end up sitting here on a lot of weeks, as I am sitting here right now after the last 3 or 4 weeks, with this feeling of just like, I feel like I've seen this story before. I feel like this is not the first time I've seen this. And that's not good. It's not a problem, by the way, that's limited just to Monday Night Raw. But it has been a Monday Night Raw problem for the last 4 weeks. So now we have this 4-way in Paris. Again, I don't know that anyone expects that the outcome is going to be anything other than Seth Rollins retaining the World Heavyweight Championship. So you look at this and go, okay, they're not just going to pin CM Punk again. Who is in there to take the losing fall? Now, you may hear this and go, well, that's why Jey Uso is in there. Jey Uso is in there to take the losing fall. See, I don't think so. I think LA Knight is in there to take the losing fall, and they'll just beat him again. Because they have a lot more invested in Jey Uso. And look at Jey Uso as a bigger star than they do LA Knight. LA Knight, to me, in their eyes, is the expendable one. So honestly, if anybody other than LA Knight takes the losing fall in that match, I would be shocked. I think the only reason Jey Uso realistically is in this match isn't even to take the losing fall. I think it's to do this and get the entrance and come through the crowd in Paris, and everybody will be eating, and it'll be one of those moments that they love so much. It's all about moments. And that's why he's in this match. He really has no business being in this match. This was an issue of Punk and Knight. And it should have been a triple threat match. But what else are they going to do to get Jey Uso on the show? right? They want to get him on the show. Well, this is their way of getting him on the show. Overall, this was a very dull episode of Raw. IYO, Roxanne, that's the in-ring highlight. There was other good wrestling on the show. The main event had some good wrestling. The AJ tag match with AJ and Dragon Lee against Grande Americano and Dom. There was some good wrestling there too. But just everything else in terms of the segments and the storytelling, it just felt like nothing really hit for me tonight. Yeah, I'm interested to see where the IYO and Asuka stuff goes. But beyond that, it's just rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat, paint by number shit with this show. This was not a great episode of Raw. This was not a great period of SmackDown and Raw coming out of SummerSlam week. I am not impressed. How would you grade Raw from Quebec City? 25.8% of you have given this show an A grade. 34.7% give it a B. 21.4% give it a C. And on the report card, 18% give it a D. At Solomonster on Twitter is where you can go. All you professors out there, you can go give them whatever grade you think they deserve. It was definitely not an A show. Let's take a look at your super chats. I swear, if we get another disqualification at the end of the show next week, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to just fucking lose it. Can you imagine 5 weeks in a row they give us a main event DQ finish? Start with Death Scythe. Says, I hate this stigma that wrestlers who are in their late 30s or 40s can't be top stars because look at DDP in WCW or AJ Styles when he came to WWE or Cody Rhodes when he came back to WWE. What are your thoughts? I mean, who's saying that guys in their late 30s can't be top stars? I think most of their top stars are in their late 30s, early 40s. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. How old is Jey Uso? Right, he's got to be getting up there. LA Knight, CM Punk. I don't know, how old is Drew McIntyre? What's he up to? Rollins is probably 40. I think that's pretty much the average age of all their top stars right now in WWE. I think the idea is that if you are someone who is of that age, who's only first now getting a big push, or if you're a relative, and this is rare, if you're like a relative newcomer or rookie who's getting in very late, that's rare though. Like DDP is a rare case. I don't think DDP had his first match until he was 35. So he's the exception. He's not the rule. But yeah, I mean, the idea that wrestlers who are of that age can't be top stars. The idea is that if you are of that age and have not been pushed previously as a top star, they may be less likely to want to first give you that level of push, because if they look at you and go, we need somebody who we can build around for 5 to 10 years, are they more likely to do that with someone who's 40? Or are they more likely to do that with someone who's 33? Right? Damian Priest, I think, is 40 or 41. Penta is 40. A lot of these guys are already of that age. Dry Chicken says, after watching WWE Unreal, the creative team in the writer's room are bland like a pasta dinner without any tomato sauce. It's time for the WWE talent to step up their imagination and start giving some creative input with the creative team for their storylines. How do you know they're not already doing that? We don't know if they are or not. And you got to be careful when you say that, because There are talents that will give ideas that are even worse than the ideas that WWE is pitching. Putting creative power into the hands of talent isn't always a great thing either. I think it's good for everybody to have input. They could offer ideas and suggestions. I think that's fine. Dry Chicken says a Killer Cross and Darby Allin program on AEW television would be cinema. Let's will it into existence. I don't think he would be a good fit for AEW. I don't. I think Tony might push him out of the gate, and then he'll just get bored with him, and he'll be fucking Lance Archer on that show. I don't think AEW is a good fit for him at all. We got GMB, no chance, but most likely to go heel. Cody or Bianca? Bianca more than Cody. Of the two, Bianca. JDFVA, thank you very much. Dried Chicken says, DQ after DQ after DQ. Man, it's like missionary position. Roman Reigns would agree. I do remember that reference. I don't remember what the context was that he said that, or that it was said about him. I don't even remember who said it, but I remember it was said in a promo. Bobby's World, thank you for the 20. A year ago, 3 coworkers of roughly the same level as me got perfect evaluations and I did not. They were way angrier about it than I was. Today, as I enter my 4th year at this job, I got my first perfect review. It's awesome news. We're all going to celebrate. Gonna celebrate with Bobby's War. That's awesome, though, dude. I'm very happy for you. Congrats. See, persistence, man. Persistence pays off. Just got to be consistent. You got to be persistent. Keep grinding, and good things will happen. Good things come to those who wait. Nick Grasso, what are your thoughts on WWE possibly running a main roster PLE on the same day as All Out? That's typical petty WWE bullshit. I mean, are you really surprised? I mean, they do it on purpose. We know this already. It's just them being petty assholes. Anobi says Bron slipped up on his math while shouting Punkin Knight's combined age. Better holler Uncle Scott for a little math lesson. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Jeremy Rose says, do you think Seth and Punk will have a Hell in a Cell match at the September PLE? I think Cross is re-signed and will show up eventually to cost Sami the title.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Eminem. I had to quickly switch because I don't know what was going horribly wrong there with that one. Eminem dropping some Mentos that has an expiration date of 2017, apparently. Eminem, thank you for the $30 drop. Actually, let's take a look at what he said here. I wanted to come in and celebrate my birthday with you and the family tonight, but I found out my aunt passed away yesterday. Oh, no. My heart was already heavy heading into today, but yesterday broke me. I thank you and the family very much. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. I think we're all very sorry for your loss. I will wish you a happy, I know it's not very happy for you, but I'll wish you a happy birthday anyway, and hopefully you can take your mind off it for a little bit, but that is awful. I'm very sorry. Let me go back here to this. I did, by the way, inquire with technical support about the issue. Since they redid, they gave this whole super chat list here a new look. And I inquired about why it keeps resetting to the top every time something new comes in. And basically their response was, in so many words, their response was, yeah, basically fuck off. There's nothing we can do. It's perfect. It's perfect, yes. That's the perfect super chat to come in. Doesn't get any more perfect than that. Pro Wrestling Fan 1995. Celebrating 37 months of membership. I used to care about the WWE brand split, but at this point, it's a complete and utter clown show. Triple Nose needs to end it if he isn't going to honor it. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, on the brand split stuff, he's just as bad as Vince on the brand split stuff. They don't care. It's just a way to. It's a loose brand split. It's a way for them to separate the two rosters to a. It's a way for them to separate the rosters to a degree. But they're going to make the moves that they want to make. And the thing is, you got two general managers, and they don't even incorporate them into it, right? They just show up. And then, like tonight, Adam Pearce gets angry and he calls Nick Aldis and he bitches him out on the phone. It's like, why are they not working together to either trade people or work out arrangements where so-and-so will show up on the show next week and then we'll have an IOU and we can get somebody from their brand to come on our show one day? Like, they don't do it. They don't do it. They don't care. They're lazy. When it comes to that stuff, they're very lazy. Base Beer says, laughing my ass off. Oh, that... I don't know, dude. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. But to go back to Jeremy Rose's, I didn't forget about you, Jeremy. He wanted to know, do I think Seth and Punk will have a Hell in a Cell match at the September PLE? I hope not. We just had a CM Punk Hell in a Cell match with Drew McIntyre last year. I don't want to see another one. Come up with some other stipulation for it. If you're going to do it on that show. And he says, I think Cross is re-signed and will cost Sam. I mean, Sammy, if he's going to go for the championship, is something that's further down the line. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Dried Chicken, Mance Warner and Steph DeLander are a great couple, and they are also nasty. What they did to Santino Marella's office on TNA. Birds and the Bees. I did not see what they did. So I cannot comment on it. Alex says, Brother Solo, we might need Teddy Long to return and announce a disqualification match in order for us not to get a DQ finish. Unreal. It is unreal. Jeremy says, Roman versus Bronson. Shoes on a pole match. Josh Carlos, 98. Remember Stephanie Vicaire being #1 contender? Welp. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going on with Naomi. I guess, look, I mean, if it is something that is going to keep her out of the ring for a while, then, you know, I mean, they'll have to work something out as far as how they want to handle that whole situation. But it's premature to, until we know more, it's just premature to even try to book, like, how is Stephanie going to get her shot? Right now, Stephanie and Naomi is the match for Paris until we hear otherwise. Retro KOH, am I the only one sick of hearing there are levels to this? I don't know why, but that phrase just makes me cringe. Maybe it's just me. No, it's pretty cringy. Once everybody starts saying it, it becomes pretty cringy. Dried Chicken says, I would intentionally piss off Triple H saying 69. I would saying what? You would say 69? What the hell are you talking about? Jason says, shouldn't Bronson Reed's finisher be called the Shoonami? Now it should, yeah, absolutely. He's got the Shula Fala. It should be the Shoonami the Shoonami Splash. Shoonami Splash. Boy, say that 5 times fast. The Shoonami Splash. I can't say it once. Matthew, what do you think of a Cody versus Orton feud since Orton was leader of Legacy and mentored Rhodes? Seems obvious, and I'm shocked they haven't done it yet. Matthew, I've been talking about this possible feud for a year now, so I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of history to draw on there. There's history even from the last few months, and Cody beating him in the King of the Ring finals. So that is a feud that I am surprised that they have not already done, and they absolutely need to do. Brandon Proctor gifted a channel membership.
Nick Wayne's mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Nick Wayne, can't you see? Go away and leave me be. I hope she likes this song, cause I'm in love with Nick Wayne's mom.
Nick Wayne's mom has got it going on. Nick Wayne's mom has gotta love this song. There you go. Hey, if Bayley needs a new theme song, I'm available. I can drop a track for her, and I guarantee you whatever I come up with is going to be better than the bullshit she comes out to now. Can't possibly be worse. Lost Dill. 3 months of channel membership. Appreciate all your hard work and dedication, always getting me through my nights at work. Thank you, Solo. Well, thank you, Lost Dill. I'm glad to have you with us on all of these streams. Quiz in the chat says people thought there were levels to the Rock's bullshit. Yeah, we're still stuck on level 1. How do I get the cheat codes on that so we can get to level 2? Oh, man. Dry Chicken says, allow half of the WWE roster to work indie dates. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Just for injury concerns alone. They have enough injury issues as it is. You think they're going to let their talent go book fucking indie dates or book indie dates for them and then they go and they get hurt? Joseph Brooks, on WWE 2K25, I'm doing a true WCW Invasion in Universe mode. I need help for a War Games match for my Invasion pay-per-view. So far, my card is Stone Cold against Goldberg, Undertaker against Sting, DDP against Rock, OG Kane against The Giant. Well, you've taken a lot of big names out of your War Games match. Ideally, I would want to have some of those names in War Games. See, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have War Games on that same show. I think you're blowing through all your big matches on one night. Why would you do that? It's terrible promotion. You need to have your fantasy card with a bunch of matches like that and save War Games for the next big show. So that way you can get people like Sting and DDP and Rock and Austin in War Games. Jeremy Rose says, do you think WWE would consider bringing back the network just for a library, charge $9.99 and add more revenue? Have you contacted Cross to book him for Hog? Well, if we've contacted Cross, I certainly wouldn't tell you. No offense. Stay tuned. As far as the network, no, the network is dead. The network is dead, and I love the Vault. And I'm okay with the Vault. It would be nice to It would be nice to have the library organized in one place with everything up there, or most everything up there. But the vault has the playlist section, which is, better than nothing. But no, I don't see them doing that. I think the vault is, potentially the classic content could stay on Peacock. Don't forget the NXT PLEs weren't part of this ESPN package, so maybe they're gonna bunch that, they'll bundle that together, so you'll get classic content access and NXT PLEs, and then they'll sell it to the highest bidder. Whether or not we end up having to pay $9.99 for it, I have no idea. But are they gonna bring the network back? No, the network is dead. I think the network still exists in certain countries, but as far as this country, no, the network is dead. It's not coming back. Just too bad. You don't know what you got until it's gone. It really is true. Dev to Dust, remember when the Jets beat the Patriots in the playoffs in 2010? Sure. Jeremy Rose, who did you think was the third man, or the third man was going to be in 1996? I don't remember who I thought it was going to be. It wasn't Hogan. I think, you know what? I think my thought was it was going to be Sting or Luger. I think I was leaning towards Luger. That somebody in the course of the match was going to turn. And when they did the injury angle with Luger to get him out of the match, I thought, okay, it's got to be Luger. I wasn't thinking Hogan, though. Bobby means I do believe we are on a collision course for Bayley, Lyra, plus I think Maxxine Dupri and NXT makes sense to me. I mean, she never should have been called up from NXT to begin with before she was ready. It's the whole fucking point of NXT. I don't understand that. I really don't. And then Io versus Stephanie is pure cinema. Is that word again? Is that word again? Eminem, I wanted to come in and celebrate my birthday with you. Well, we read this one already. Again, we extend our condolences to our good friend Eminem for his loss. But happy birthday, my friend. As happy as it could possibly be. Oh, look at that. 2 more orange, and we might unlock a bonus Be the Booker. Base Beer says, yes. Again, I don't know. Matt Fisher says it's Brie mode. It's always Brie mode around here. Also, the only way it could be more perfect is another Brie mode. Oh, I should have figured it was you both times. Mr. Ruby Dog, Joey Ryan, next Hog Show. Book it. Well, if on some farm somewhere they actually do have hog shows with a bunch of hogs, he can certainly be a part of that show, but he won't be a part of our hog show. If he wants to go roll around with pigs somewhere, by all means. What he does in his personal time, I really don't give a shit. Angel Alaga, 9 months of membership. Totally agree with Solomonster. Not a great show, but Io versus Roxanne was so good. Arabian Night, with how dull the show was, I'm disappointed the Quebec crowd didn't start We Want Cross chants. In my opinion, his departure is not a work. Not everything is. That is true, not everything is. I do not believe it to be a work. We'll just say that. We got Eminem. If there is one thing that I can do to make everyone's day, I would need Nick Wayne's mom's help. Okay. Well, he's the one who wanted to hear the song, so there you go. You can thank Eminem for it. It's a damn good song. Thank you, Eminem. Bobby's World, sorry to do this to you, brother, but I see you're having issues with the chats. Did you miss mine or did you read it and I missed it? No, I read yours. Yep. Actually, I literally just read it. Oh man, I hate this update. I am we might have to get rid of the screen. just keep it on me. Like, this is driving me nuts. And I just love the answer they gave me too. Like, nope. Can I pause them or something? Nope. Like, oh, okay. It's very interesting to me when companies actually make updates to a program or a product and they actively make it worse. Don't you just love that? They actively make it worse than it was before. Good job, guys. Duff's Vids. Shoonami Splash. Oh, you son of a bitch. Darth Panic. Thank you, Darth Panic. Dropping a Be the Booker. Oh, now we're 9 out of 10. Need one more. We need one more for double Be the Booker. What happened to Goldberg? Oh, you're talking about the super chat? The Goldberg super chat is still there. Oh, he means the Goldberg tell-all. That's right. Goldberg said 2 weeks. He'll be able to tell all. It's been 3 weeks. We haven't heard from Goldberg. I don't know that we'll ever hear his tell-all. Maybe they got to him. Maybe they cut him off before he could actually say anything. But Duff's Vid says, Shoonami Splash. Shoonami. Son of a bitch. I can't do it. Shoonami Splash. Shoonami. Son of a bitch. Why can't I do it? Shoonami Splash. See, if I slow it down, then I can say it. Shoonami Splash. It's the best I could do. It is the best I can do. Base Beer is Monday Night Raw. Jason Goes to Hell. No, that's Friday Night SmackDown. Matt Fisher, the things I do for you people. We better hit this goal. We're one away. We're one away. Oh. There it is. That did it. You thank Eminem for that one. We have unlocked a second round of Be the Booker. Cameo Johnson. Been a fan since my military days in Europe. Respect for holding it down during the dark era of WWE when it was unwatchable. Ever visit Chicago? Beers on me. Thank you, Cameo. I appreciate you very much. I pop into Chicago every few months for HOG. You should come down to one of the shows. Probably be back there in November. Well, most likely November. I don't know what venue. I think we've outgrown our previous venue, but I'm looking forward to getting back to Chicago in a few months. Base Beerus says $9.99 with a $9.99 super chat. I still have that $9.99 network promotion burned into my brain. They know how to market, I'll tell you that. Dr. Scorpio, what's the difference between a good joke and a bad clock? Timing. LOL, I'll show myself out. Just showing some love. You know, if I didn't like you, I don't know what I would say, but it wouldn't be very nice. But I do like you, so thank you, Dr. Scorpio. Terrible Dry Chicken says Killer Cross and Scarlett should be the host for an indie Halloween event. I know Scarlett is very much into the like spooky Halloween stuff. Like WWE on their YouTube channel has in the past posted stuff with Shotzi and Scarlett visiting haunted houses and stuff. So I know she's really into that. I love Halloween. They're actually opening a Spirit Halloween not too far from me. So once that's open, I'll be Browsing around, Devin says, what were some of Young Solo's favorite Coliseum home videos growing up? Smack 'em Whack 'em is my favorite one, probably. That's the one that has the first Bret Hart world title change against Ric Flair. I was amazed that they would just put that on a Coliseum video. You don't see that very often. Like a WWF title change on a Coliseum video that didn't air on TV. So that was one. I mean, there were a bunch that I had or that I rented. Invasion of the Body Slammers, a bunch of WrestleFest videos. Yeah, the WrestleFests, maybe. Smack 'em, Whack 'em, and then the WrestleFests were probably the ones I liked the most. Darth Panic, be the booker. Yes, indeed. Dr. Scorpio, my streamer tried to do a sponsored stream, but all he did was complain about the product. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. My streamer tried to do a sponsored stream, but all he did was oh my God. Eminem says, let's end my birthday on a high note with Double Be the Booker. It will be absolute cinema. You are correct, sir. Cameo Johnson, if you can pick 3 dream matches, what would they be? Well, I've often said Bret Hart against Kurt Angle. I know they very much wanted to work together. It just obviously never worked out. But Bret and Kurt would have been one. Like the biggest dream matches. Savage was in one. I always wanted to see. I always thought Savage and I don't know, for some reason I always thought Savage and Foley as Mankind. I don't know if that would be the top of my list, but like that was always one of those matches I was like, man, that would have been a great match. Like with Savage in his prime against Mankind, like 96 Mankind, when he was at his physical peak, doing that character. Well, Shawn Michaels and The Rock was always a match that I felt like we really missed out on. Austin and Hogan, just for the marquee value of it, obviously. That's a huge match. So those are some of them. Dr. Scorpio, time is precious, which is why I waste it on puns. Larry Jester, you're number one guy who should have held a world title but didn't. Whew. I mean, I always go back to Kurt Hennig. I know he was AWA champion, but I mean like in WWE. Mr. Perfect was probably my guy. He was probably my pick. Someone like Piper, I mean, he didn't really need it. But I would say, yeah. DiBiase or Perfect, probably. I mean, at least DiBiase got to run around with the belt for a month. Wasn't official, but it's more than what Perfect got. Arabian Night, financially and national exposure-wise, AEW makes the most sense for Cross. He hated his time in TNA and how they treated him specifically, especially financially. Do you remember? Yeah, but you got to remember something. That was a different time in TNA. It's under different management now. And if he has any goals of returning to WWE, TNA is probably the best place for him. There were issues, I do believe. There were issues with them or Scarlett and Don Callis. That could be a factor. I mean, Callis works in AEW now. That's a whole situation I'm not going to get into, but for maybe that reason, and also just I don't think Cross is a good fit. I don't think he's someone Tony Khan would push. I don't think he's the kind of performer or wrestler that Tony Khan is going to be gung-ho about in the way that he is people on his roster like a Will Ospreay or a Swerve Strickland. So I feel like he might be hot out of the gate. And then even if there is something there to capitalize on, it'll be like the WWE thing all over again, and it'll just die. So if it's just purely about money, sure. You know, he could try and see if there's interest in going to AEW. I just don't think that's going to be a good fit. I don't think that Tony Khan would do much more with him than what Triple H did. I think TNA could work. I think New Japan could work. And I don't know that they're spending a lot of money on, foreign talent right now, but AEW would be very low down on the list of places that I think Cross, if you went, would thrive in. Just my opinion. Jeremy Rose, funny thing about commentary during Hogan's heel turn is Bobby Heenan saying he knew it the whole time and continued to bury Hogan. LOL, he was the GOAT. Why wouldn't he? His whole career, even going back to the Twin Cities in the AWA, when he was managing Nick Bockwinkel, he was feuding with Hogan. So of course he would hate the guy, regardless. He was consistent in his hatred for Hogan. Dr. Scorpio, again, thank you for that super chat. Duff's Vids, what are your top 3 favorite holidays in order? Thank you for your stream solo. Thank you for all the love, Duff's Vids. You help keep this place running. I appreciate you. Halloween. Halloween is definitely number 1. In order, huh? Halloween, Christmas, do I even have a third that I feel that strongly about? I really don't. Thanksgiving? Yeah, Thanksgiving. I would say if I had to rank them in order, you know what? Here's the order. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. In that order. Christmas, I just like the festive season, the lights, like I like that aspect of it. Thanksgiving, love the food, hanging out with family that we still get to hang out with. But Halloween is my number 1. Noodle pudding. Yeah, see, Daddy Ugarte knows noodle pudding. It is very misleading when I call it noodle pudding. And I posted pictures of it online before from Thanksgiving. I have a cousin who makes, we call it noodle pudding. It's not pudding. I know it's being very misleading. People think it's like a fucking, it's not pudding. The best way I could describe it is, it's like a noodle casserole, basically. Picture a slice of cake, but instead of cake, it's all these noodles and cinnamon and everything, and it's just sort of baked together. It's so good. I always have it on Thanksgiving. Kevin says, love Karrion Kross's interview with Ariel. Must watch. Is that a new one? Oh, he did one previously. Near, I'd put Sami in that fatal 4-way instead of Jay. You know what? I'm not too gung-ho about jumping into the Sami thing just yet, but you're right. I probably would put him in there as well, in place of Jay. Terrible Dried Chicken says, fuck it. Give Bayley a split personality gimmick. I don't know. Can she pull it off? There are some performers in wrestling who could pull off crazy. I think Alexa Bliss did a pretty good job of that. Daphne did a pretty good job of that back in the day. Rosemary in TNA. I don't know. I say crazy. I mean, it doesn't mean she has to be crazy. But again, if you're talking the split personality thing, there has to be something to differentiate the two. So I just assume like one of her personas would be kind of crazy, and unhinged. And then the other one could be the role model. Like you want to go to the opposite end of the spectrum if you're going to do two different personalities. Can she pull it off? I don't know. Got nothing to lose. It's not like Bayley has really been given much to do recently that's terribly interesting. Cameo Johnson, we know Vince is like Voldemort, but do you think there are some things WWE being ignorantly corporate now that he wouldn't go for? I mean, the number one thing is the advertising and sponsorships on the mats. He always wanted to keep a clean ring. He did not want any sponsor logos on the mats, around ringside. Well, that's not true because they did have stuff on like the LED barricades, but they've gone so overboard with it. So disgustingly overboard with it. That is one thing that he would never have allowed. And it's one thing to have like the Slim Jim logo right in the middle of the ring. Like, okay, fine. I don't even have an issue with that. But having, I mean, literally like 7 or 8 logos all over the mat and then the turnbuckles and everything, like that's something you would never have seen. If he was still in power, you would never have seen that. But they're going to make money any way they can. Any way they can. That's why you're hearing talk about, possibly 2 WrestleManias one of these years. You give one to Saudi and you do the regular WrestleMania. So now instead of having 2 WrestleMania main events a year, we're going to have 4 WrestleMania main events a year. To the point where being in the WrestleMania main event won't mean anything. It'll mean nothing. That's where we're headed. WrestleMania every month. Remember when we had WrestleMania Backlash a few years ago? It'll be that all over again. WrestleMania Backlash, WrestleMania Bad Blood, WrestleMania Money in the Bank. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Who's to say Vince wouldn't have changed his mind because he's an old fucker? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's the one thing he held on to like grim death. He would not allow his mat to be debased in that way. And even if he would have, I think he would have gone as far as having one sponsor in the middle of the ring like WCW used to do. They had Snickers, they had Slim Jim, but not all over the place. Where it's like, okay, if you want to tattoo something on my arm, go ahead. TKO comes in and says, hold my beer. You can tattoo me on the arms. You could tattoo me on the legs. You could tattoo my fucking forehead. You could put a tattoo on the back of each of my shoulders. You could put a tattoo on the back of each of my ass cheeks. They don't care. As long as you cut the check. It's all that matters. It's time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
We get 2 rounds tonight, thanks to you guys. It's exciting. Love it. I love it when we get to do double be the booker. They're going to start putting sponsor logos on all the merch. Oh, that'll be coming. Absolutely. You'll see at least some of the top names will be coming down to the ring. Cody will have Wheatley American Vodka's logo on his fucking trunks. Or his tights. I mean, if Roman Reigns doesn't get like a Nike sponsorship out of this, I mean, what are we doing here? Jey Uso and Wingstop. Oh, it's coming. All right, tag team be the booker. We have Mason Madden and, well, I mean, if you go by their names in WWE, really like in this image, it's Mansoor and Massey. But it's Mason Madden and Mansoor in Ring of Honor. The Blue Chew ladder, yes. They're branding the tables and the ladders now. Well, no, it was the Fireball ladder. But in due time, we'll get the Blue Chew ladder. Actually, I think the suggestion I made was the Blue Chew bell. The steel steps will be the Snickers steps. Put the Snickers logo on each step. Oh, it's coming. Well, you know how they removed the top part of the ring steps and you have the flat bottom part? Once they remove the top part, it reveals the sponsor logo for that night. And their fucking logo is right there on top of that flat part of the ring steps. All this stuff will happen. All this stuff will happen. So it's going to be the Usos against Mansoor and Massey. Kicking us off here in Be the Booker. I find Mason Mansoor entertaining. Question is, do we give this match a bell? Mason Mansoor against the Usos. Fuck it. I'm giving it the bell. I'm giving it the bell. Bret Hart, 41 months of channel membership. This month is my 10th anniversary of being a Sound Off listener. Wow. How about that? A decade. A decade. Thank you for sticking with me, brother. I appreciate it. Here's to the next 10. Pre-show for a Backlash. We'll put the Usos against the Mason Mansoor on the pre-show. Okay. They don't do matches on pre-shows anymore. In AEW, they do too many matches on the pre-show. In WWE, they don't do any matches. It's just one extreme or the other. Willow Nightingale. One of my favorites from AEW. Willow is great. Willow Nightingale will be battling Mayu Iwatani. If you don't know who Mayu Iwatani is, I suggest you look her up. But if you're any kind of fan of Joshi wrestling, you know exactly who Mayu Iwatani is. In fact, I think she had a movie made about her life over in Japan. And our first of two main events here. Don't forget, we got one more yet to come. Here we go. Oh boy, look who it is. It's Dax Harwood. One half of FTR. Dax Harwood in Be the Booker has pulled himself away from the Twitter machine to actually participate in this main event. I'm shocked. And who will he be stepping into the ring with? Let's find out. He'll be stepping into the ring with Bobby Lashley. Well, not if MVP has his way, he won't. If MVP is going to exercise his creative freedom in AEW, that ain't going to be happening. We'll find out who wins out on that end, if it's MVP or Tony Khan. Stay tuned. Oh, that's a sweep. I just realized. I just realized. I almost completely forgot. That's a clean sweep. There you go. Well, he knows who's losing this. Yeah, we know who's winning that match. Dax Harwood's. Michael says Dax Harwood. Sounds like a porn name. You know, it kind of does. It does. Dax Harwood sounds like a porn star's name. Well, anyway, let's move on to the second round. With that lovely visual. We go to round number 2 of Be the Booker. We might have MVP booking the matches here in round 2. I believe he's exercising his desire to book round 2. So let's see what we end up with. And we're going to have a barbed wire steel cage match to kick us off here. It's going to be a barbed wire steel cage tag team match. That's going to be crazy. Barbed wire steel cage tag team match. With the Holly Cousins. Well, they're hardcore, so it's perfect. The Holly Cousins, Hardcore and Crash. That fits. Oh my God. Pick the perfect teams for this. The Holly Cousins against Public Enemy in a tag team barbed wire steel cage match. Perfect. That worked out well. Can we do a double sweep? That doesn't happen. It's like a unicorn. It doesn't happen very often. You don't see them very often, but I think we have a chance. All right, good job, MVP. You did well with that one. MVP, you're going to kill the town here with the stipulation. Another barbed wire steel cage match has been booked. Oh, man. You're going to kill the stipulation is what you're going to do. And it's going to be a women's match, no less. A women's steel cage barbed wire match. With Liv Morgan. Poor Liv Morgan. My God, Liv Morgan is out injured. She had surgery. She's hurt. And her first match back, we're putting her in a barbed wire steel cage match. Respin. It's not how it works. Liv Morgan against Willow Nightingale. Boy, we are certainly doing a lot of repeat choices tonight, aren't we? But I dig the match, though. Liv Morgan is kind of crazy, and she's not afraid to throw her body around. We saw her in the Elimination Chamber earlier this year. She's not afraid of taking a beating in the ring. And Willow, and we saw Willow in a fucking Anarchy in the Arena match. And then that match she had it all out last year with Chris Statlander, so she doesn't mind. We are on the verge of a double sweep, guys. This is amazing. I feel it. I feel it. I have a good feeling about this. We're going to end with an Ultimate X match. Ultimate X, a TNA special. Now, there's a lot of climbing involved in this match. It's a dangerous match. So it really does come down to who we land on. I don't want to be picking a fucking Great Khali to be in an Ultimate X match. So this is going to be quite the test here. It all hinges upon this. Oh, boy. Oh, it's Vato Sting. Look. This will never not be funny to me. I have no memory of this being a thing. I have no memory of this angle. I have no memory. I assume, obviously, he's dressed up as a member of LAX, but I don't remember the context. I don't remember anything about this. I just look at the image and I fucking laugh every single time. I think all the versions of Sting, this might be my favorite. But now we have Vato Sting who has to climb. Like upside down, basically. For the ultimate Cholo Sting, yes. Yes. It's Vato Sting. Come on, man. Vato Sting against Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, and it will be an Ultimate X match. And that is indeed a double sweep. Just trying to visualize this match. Roman Reigns and Sting. First of all, as a match, that would be awesome. But Roman Reigns and Sting in an Ultimate X match. It'd be a miracle if nobody falls to their death. There you go. 2 clean sweeps. You got it. Enjoy it. It doesn't happen very often. It's very rare. He could knock the X down with his bat. That's true. Could hold on with one arm and then have the bat in the other arm and just, yeah, but don't you have to have possession of the X though? Like if he hits the X and it falls to the floor, then it's whoever catches it, right? He could hit it with the X He could hit it with the bat, it falls, and Roman is just standing underneath it and catches it and wins. So then that doesn't do him any good. We have got Brian Finelli. What's going on, Brian? That side Russian leg sweep was brought to you by Snickers, says Michael Cole. Well, how about this deal with ESPN where they're potentially going to simulcast major PLEs on the ESPN linear networks, which could include ESPN proper and potentially even ABC. Imagine WrestleMania, the main event, being aired on ABC in the middle of the match, like someone is thrown outside the ring and put a little box in the corner of the screen that says WrestleMania continues. They go to break in the middle of the WrestleMania main event. It's possible. It's possible. The Yatagaratsu favorite female psycho gimmick was 2002 Victoria. She had the music, the facial expressions, and the aura and moveset of an axe murderer. Maybe she was an axe murderer. I liked it when she used to come out with the tattoo music. All the things she said. That's still my favorite theme of hers. What was the other one that started like with that woman's voice? Like, whoop! What was that song? I ain't the lady to mess with. Right, it's like, whoop! I ain't the lady to mess with. That one was okay, but all the things she said is still her best theme. Duff's Vids, Blue Chew Chairs, hit hard, stay hard. I like it. Actually, no, I hate it. I don't want to see any of this. I don't want to will this into existence. Terrible Dried Chicken, Home Depot or Lowe's will be a sponsor for a ladder match. I have two of them not far from where I am, and I have to say I've become a Lowe's guy. I generally find more of what I'm looking for in Lowe's than I do Home Depot. Larry Jester, Slim Jim kendo sticks would be better than tables. Well, I mean, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Because the kendo sticks kind of look like giant Slim Jims. You could paint them. You could paint them brown or red. Thunder Force. Remember when Vince wouldn't allow CM Punk to have sponsors on his ring gear? Yeah, that was many years ago. Brock came back, though, and he had Jimmy John's on his shorts because he had a pre-existing agreement with them. He was the only one who was allowed that. No one else was allowed to have any sponsors of their own. Dry Chicken says Dax Harwood against Bobby Lashley. MVP is the referee. Stokely is the ring enforcer. Cash Wheeler and Shelton on commentary with Excalibur. And Matt Fisher says, have a good night, guys. Stay good. Enjoy the 934 hours to go of wrestling this week. Well, after tonight, it's 932. There is a lot of wrestling. But that's why we're here. Right? We're here to talk about all of it. In fact, that's what I'll be doing on Wednesday. Next time I'm live with you here on this channel will be for the AEW Dynamite post show. And then Friday night after SmackDown as well. Tomorrow night, I'll be with JD on his channel for Tuesday Night Titans. So there's a lot of wrestling discussion yet to come this week. If you missed it, episode 9, oh God, what am I up to? 924, getting close to 1,000. Episode 924 of The Sound Off went up yesterday. Great episode, great feedback. And we hit number 2 for all wrestling podcasts on all of Apple Podcasts. We hit number 2. Is very cool. So I thank you for that. If you missed it, go back and check that out. Sean D, celebrating 28 months of membership, says the WWE's going through like ad withdrawal from all the decades that Vince didn't want ads all over the squared circle now that he's gone. Feels like it. And shout out to Paul. 28 months of membership as well, just like Sean. You're like twins. It's like you joined at the same time. I've been watching a lot of old school wrestling, NWA, very good stuff back in the day for being a lifelong WWF fan. Any favorite matches from that NWA days? Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites is the cage match. I Quit. It was Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA for the U.S. title. I don't remember what event it was. If it was Starrcade, was it Starrcade 85? I forgot the event. That's a classic match. If you've never seen that one, definitely go check that out. I would also recommend to you, because it's I mean, some of my favorite matches was just after they pulled out of the NWA. And so it was already WCW at that point. So it might not be exactly what you're looking for. Although, just to go back to the NWA for a second, look, Sting and Flair had their classic match at the first Clash of the Champions in '88, right? That 45-minute draw. Lex Luger during that period, when he was the United States champion, Lex Luger had some really good matches. I want to say with Ricky Steamboat, but also he had a match with Flair. I think it was after Sting hurt his knee, so that would have been 1990. But if you want to see some cool shit that you probably never saw if you were a WWF fan only, Wrestle War 92. There's a War Games match. Best War Games, my favorite War Games match of all time. Sting Squadron against the Dangerous Alliance led by Paul Heyman. Paulie Dangerously. The War Games matches they did in 91 at Wrestle War and 92, both of them. But 92 to me is better than 91. And then in 92, there was a series of matches between Sting and Big Van Vader. Fucking awesome. One of my favorite series of matches. If you want the ultimate classic trilogy, though, you got to go back to 89 in the NWA. Those were the Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat matches. Chi-Town Rumble, Wrestle War 89. Oh, God, what was the other one? Shit, I forgot. But the three matches that they are most well known for in 89, if you've never seen those, then you need to stop what you're doing and go watch those. So definitely make sure that's on your list. Ah, yes, Roderick, thank you. He says Luger Steamboat was on Bash 89 too. Yeah, you know, again, people will give Luger shit. He was not the best in-ring worker, but you go back and watch his work from the late 80s, like especially 89, maybe 88, 89. He was really good. And he has some really good matches. And I feel like there are people who say shit that never actually saw him work during those years. So if you've never seen it, it's worth going out of your way to go check it out for the first time. Ah, yes. Flair and Steamboat. That's right. Clash of the Champions in New Orleans. Thank you. Yep. Ric Flair and Terry Funk had a great I Quit match. Clash of the Champions. That was New York Knockout, I think was the subtitle, right, of that show. That was in 89. Yep. Absolutely. Vader, too. I got to give Vader his flowers, man. Vader's matches during that period, Vader's matches with Sting, Vader's match with Ric Flair at Starrcade in 93. Vader's matches with Cactus Jack, especially their Halloween Havoc match. Sting's match with Cactus Jack at Beach Blast in 92. That's another one. Rick Rude during that period had a great run of matches in WCW. You know, against Sting and against Flair. And yeah, it was a lot of good stuff back then. And I didn't appreciate it myself until years later because, like you, I was younger and I was watching WWF. I just wasn't. I was paying attention to the kind of what was going on in WCW, but I wasn't really a WCW fan. But there was a lot of good stuff that I only got to really experience many years later. Yep, Rude and Steamboat. Rude and Steamboat had an Iron Man match, didn't they? I think it was a 30-minute Iron Man match. Barry Windham. Sure, yeah, Barry Windham and Flair. God, when Flair's DVD set, that triple disc DVD set came out many, many years ago, I think the match that I'm thinking of with Flair and Wyndham is on there. Whatever event that was a great one too. Sting and Luger against the Steiners. Yep, that was Super Brawl. I think that was the first Super Brawl. I think that was the very first one. I've always said, you know, I got a question before asking me. Might have been from, God, who sent the question in? I already forgot. Oh, God, it was it Cameo? Cameo Johnson sent that question in before, I think, about my top fantasy matches. You've heard me in the past say this before. I know I've said it multiple times because I've been asked about it in the mailbag. Like the ultimate fantasy warfare match, like both guys in their prime, Big Van Vader, early 90s, against Brock Lesnar. And it honestly, it could be Brock from like the first run, or it could be Brock when he first came back in 2012. I would prefer the Brock where he did more than just suplexes. But even if you took that version of Brock, the Suplex City Brock from the mid-2010s, Brock Lesnar and Vader, put those two fucking guys in the ring, holy shit. Match that would have been. That would have been fantastic. See, that's a Be the Booker match right there that we've never landed on, but one day we have to. Cecil Robinson, you should have a sound effect for 2 clean sweeps. I should. You know what? I always envision maybe the Mario sound effect when you get the mushroom or the flower, like that power-up noise. That might be a good one. Yeah, I should. Vader would eat him alive? I don't know. I don't know about eat him alive. I'm not so sure about that. Do a brawl for all. Prime Brock against Prime Vader. Brawl for all. Brock's got the UFC. He's got the fight experience. Vader didn't have that. Vader was just a big dude who hit hard, but that's about it. But he was a lot bigger though. I mean, he weighed more. I guess if he wanted to smother Brock and just kind of put all of his weight on him and kind of wear him down that way, I don't know how like a fight would have looked between those two. Yeah, but you know what? Those would be my two. I think those would be my top two right there. Bret Hart against Kurt Angle and Prime Brock against Prime Vader. Sign me up for those. Navy 4181 on the sound off. You mentioned Super WrestleMania. Did you have it on Genesis? The SNES had no finishers or Champions mode until later with Royal Rumble. I'm pretty sure I had it on. I'm pretty sure I had it on Super NES. I know I had Raw on Genesis when that Raw game came out in 94 that had Diesel and I think Bam Bam was in there. But I'm pretty sure WrestleMania, the arcade game, Super WrestleMania, I think that stuff was on the Super NES for me.
I am the legend.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree.
Hey, Luis. Planting a tree. WWE really dropped the ball with Karrion Kross. Should he and Scarlett go to TNA or AEW, or Scarlett should join WOW, Women of Wrestling? Well, I mean, if they can get financially an offer that they are happy with, I do feel like TNA would probably be a good landing spot for them. For Kross, I think, there's multiple options for him. I think he'll kill it doing indies for a while. So I don't even think he needs to necessarily be in any kind of a rush to sign a contract anywhere. I think he's got a very lucrative, very successful indie run for him. But ultimately, if he doesn't end up just going back to WWE, I think TNA would probably be the prime landing spot for him. And it would give him a gateway back into WWE if that's his ultimate goal. Now, keep in mind now, this is the second time that he has been effectively let go. I mean, his contract expired in this case. So it's not like they released him, but they basically said, hey, we don't want to re-sign you. That's what happens when they let your contract expire. Previously, he had been released. And I've said this about other people like Braun Strowman, people who have been released multiple times. Like, you also kind of ask the question, like, do you want to go back? It's one thing when it happens to you once. When it happens to you twice, when it happens to you multiple times, do you even want to go back and work for those people again? But WWE is still the biggest game in town and the ones that will probably be able to pay the most money. I mean, not that Tony Khan pays peanuts to his talent, but they're the biggest game in town. That's why everybody desires to go there. But it's got a sting, when you end up going back and then you end up on the outside again. And it's like, do I go back again? Or, clearly these people don't really appreciate me for what I bring to the table, so I'd rather be somewhere else. Again, I don't know what's going through his head on that front, but I feel like that's what would be going through my head, and I would be upset about that. I wouldn't necessarily want to work for these people anymore. If they don't appreciate what I bring to the table, I'll take my services somewhere else. That would be my attitude. Power Spying Games, Roman against Reed. Sneakers on a pole, bro. No poles. No poles. Maybe we do it the way they do it here in New York, where you can actually set 2 poles up, but you don't have to climb the poles. But you set 2 poles up, like here with the power lines. You always see, I don't know if this is how it is where you are, but you'll be driving down the street, and it's not like this on every street, but you will find streets where there is a pair of sneakers tied together right in the middle of a power line above the street. And so maybe they could set 2 poles up in the ring and then just have, well, I guess there's 2 pairs, but you can just tie them and they're just hanging from the middle. I'll feel right at home. Super Pony, is there any chance this cross thing is a work? Brother, it's pro wrestling. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I am telling you, it is not a work. Thank you, brother.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Get a little Mentos in your life with Leopoldo with a $30 super chat. In honor of El Vato Sting, what did one cholo say to another cholo whose one leg was shorter than the other? Not even, Holmes. Like, that was awful. What did the cholo say to the house that fell on him? Get off me, Holmes. Get off me, Holmes. Okay, all right, yeah, oh my God. Leopoldo went into full Duff's Vids mode there. Get off me, Holmes. Ha-ha. Good night, Solomonster. It's going to be my new name. Thank you, Leopoldo. Everybody should have a little bit of Mentos in their life. Just one last thing on the cross stuff. Like I even talked about it on the sound off. I thought that in the end there was either an offer made or there would be an offer made and he would stay. And I figured that's ultimately how it would resolve. They would see that there's this groundswell of support and they could certainly find a spot for him on the roster. And it appears that is not the case. And so I hope for his sake, and I saw the video he put out yesterday, which was very well done, and he has a special connection with his fans. He has a lot of fans out there, and he has a special connection with them, and I hope that he is able to grow that. I hope that the buzz around him and the momentum that he has right now can continue wherever he goes, wherever he lands, and that he could parlay that into something. Because honestly, even if he would have ended up back in WWE, it's very apparent to me, even though Triple H is the one who brought him and Scarlett back, it's very apparent to me that they do not want to push him in any serious way. I mean, that's, again, if Triple H really wanted to do something major with him, he had the chance to do so. He opted not to. You know, whatever his rationale, whatever his reasoning was for doing so or not doing so. But I hope it all works out for him, because there's other places to work, and WWE is not the only game in town. Life does not end just because WWE is not interested in you. And I think he's smart enough to understand that, and I think he's going to do very well for himself. Like I said, kind of booking his own events in the meantime, and then ultimately wherever he wants to end up, hopefully he'll be able to take this and it'll carry over there. And he'll have a little more freedom maybe to do the kind of things that he wants to do that maybe he wouldn't have had in WWE. So I wish him well. I hope it all works out. Do I think it's a work? I don't see what's accomplished at this point if it is. Like, there's so many reports out there now about people in corporate positions in WWE. WrestleVotes had something saying that even the corporate side is of the impression he and Scarlett are gone. So what are they working the corporate side? They're working the roster? Like, you get to a point, we just went through this with the Seth Rollins stuff. Like, at some point, it's just stupid. It doesn't serve any real purpose. You know, you're just sowing the seeds of disrespect, or not disrespect, but distrust with people within the organization. And I don't see, frankly, if it was to be a work, which again, I don't believe it is, and then he shows up one day, like, okay. Like, what is even accomplished by it? It's just, if it's a work, it's a very stupid work. So, no, it is not a work. And WWE Wrestling and Gaming. How would you book a Vader title reign? Very similar to the one he had in WCW, where, you feed him opponents that he can go in there and have great matches with. And I don't think that's people who are necessarily bigger than him. There aren't too many people on the roster today that would be bigger than Vader. You feed him the right opponents, and I think he could go in there and have some great matches, some classic matches, David and Goliath type matches. But he goes on a dominant run, and you book him as champion for a solid year with him as the monster on top until you settle on that babyface that you want to be the guy, right? Like Sting was back in the day, who's going to slay the beast, slay the dragon, and be able to topple this guy. And you just carefully build to that moment. Vader is that final boss kind of guy. So I'd put that championship on him for at least a year and let him just fucking rip through the roster. Not squash everybody. Again, you want him to go in there and have good competitive matches, but, he has to be dominant. He could be that dominant monster champion for a while. And then you build to your hero, the guy that you want to build the company around, being the one to beat him. It's simple as that. It's not rocket science. It's just finding the right people. That could be the hard part sometimes. The rest of it should be easy. Once you have the people, you have the pieces. You just got to put them in place. But thank you, brother. Anyway, be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great night. Go check out episode 924 if you have not already done so. If you have, go listen to it again. And I will see you back here on this channel on Wednesday night for the Dynamite Post Show, and on Tuesday Night Titans tomorrow night. Until then, take care, guys.